Well, hey, Apostles family, on November 15th, we are planning to gather indoors at Regis High School for the first time in what will be, almost to the week, 8 months. Now, some of you are still living outside of the state, or some of you are in life stages that makes attending this service difficult or impossible. Or for some of you, you are still wrestling emotionally with what it means to gather indoors during a pandemic, and that might prohibit you from attending, and that's okay. But if you are planning to be there, or maybe you're sort of thinking about coming to the service and attending, I just want to give some pastoral word for our expectations. For some of us, we might have a cynical expectation for what this Sunday will be. We're going to be wearing masks, it's going to be stressful, there's going to be kids or no child care, we're going to be wrestling with our kids, and we're going to be socially distanced, it's going to be awkward, and you just don't have any sort of expectation that this Sunday will be good. Or maybe you have a potential overly sentimental expectation for this Sunday, that it's going to be amazing. You have really high relational expectations, or the singing expectations. It's just going to be great. And that's maybe where my heart is tempted, is I'm excited to see your faces. I'm excited to sing. I'm excited to hear your prayers. But you know, there's a potential of walking away from that service being kind of disappointed. The singing felt flat, the relationships felt distant, because they will be distanced. It will be a little awkward and difficult. We're going to be wearing masks. We're going to be distanced to such an extent so that we can sing. So that might mean 12 feet of distance, not just 6 feet. There won't be childcare. There will be a little bit of awkwardness, and there's maybe a potential of being disappointed and maybe assuming that, I guess the cynical response was right. And I just want to speak to our hearts here, and here's what we ought to be expecting when we gather on November 15th, is that when a body of believers, the body of Christ gathers, Jesus is there. He's present with us in a covenantal way so that we are shaped by His presence. We're formed by His presence. And we've always said this, that if the more we are intentionally aware that Christ is present with us, the more we will have an experiential grasp of His presence. It's like a meal. You know, a meal, you don't walk away from every meal or supper thinking, that was the most amazing meal that I've ever had. Nevertheless, that meal is a part of what is sustaining you and feeding you and nourishing you and keeping you alive. And this service on November 15th, it may not be the most amazing thing that we've ever experienced, but it will feed us. It will nourish us. It will be something that Christ uses to keep us alive and with Him and growing and being formed into His likeness. So as far as that goes, I'm hopeful for this service. And I want to ask you to pray for November 15th, even if you're not able to attend, just to be praying for this service. This is going to be an important Sunday for our church as we are growing into what God has for us in the future. I'm anxious to see you. I'm prayerful about it. We gathered last Sunday in the park to take the Lord's Supper, and while there was still awkwardness to it, it was really sweet to be together. And so let's look forward prayerfully to this Sunday, that we might be a church that gathers together in the presence of Christ.